The Mughal administration. The Mughal administration system was the work of Akbar. He was the architect of the vast empire, sound and popular administration. Architect of the vast empire and sound and popular administration. He followed the administrative system designed by Sher Shah Sur with minor modifications. He followed the administration system designed by Sher Shah Sur with minor modifications. Akbar's successors followed his administration with certain changes. So what are the sources from where we know about Mughal administration? The most authentic sources to study the Mughal administration system were the two great works of Abul Fazl, that is Ain-i-Akbari and Akbarnama. The two great works of Abul Fazl, that is Ain-i-Akbari and Akbarnama. The works of Badauni and other contemporary court historians, and the farmans issued by the Mughal emperors, and the accounts and records of the foreign accounts and records of foreign travelers and the traders and the ambassadors are also providing useful information about the Mughal administration. Nature of Mughal polity or state. There was no uniform opinion among the historians regarding the nature of Mughal administration. Nature of Mughal administration or nature of Mughal state. Uniform opinion లేదు ఎవరికి ఎలా ఉండింది మొఘల్ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్ అని. Some has described it as a foreign and some has described it as totally Indian. Foreign administration లా ఉండిందంటే కొందరు ఇండియన్ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్ లా ఉందని చెప్పారు. Some others viewed it as a mixed administration or composite administration అని చెప్పి కొంతమంది చెప్పారు. As an emperor or padusha was all powerful, it was described as centralized absolute monarchy. So ఈ word important. ఎలా ఉండింది వాళ్ళ administration? It was centralized absolute monarchy. As public service stood as the ultimate goal of the Mughals, public service వాళ్ళ ultimate goal, and public service was their ultimate goal. It was described as enlightened despotism. పబ్లిక్ సర్వీసే వాళ్ళ ఇంపార్టెంట్ గోల్ కాబట్టి దాన్ని ఎలా డిఫైన్ చేశారు? ఎన్లైటెడ్ డెస్పాటిజం అన్నారు. అకార్డింగ్ టు అనదర్ వ్యూ, ఇట్ వాస్ అ టైప్ ఆఫ్ మిలిటరీ అండ్ బ్యూరోక్రాటిక్ సిస్టమ్. ఇట్ వాస్ కాంబినేషన్ ఆఫ్ మిలిటరీ and a bureaucratic system. After making a critical study of all the sources, eminent historian J.N. Sarkar has described it as the Perso-Arabic system in the Indian setting. This is the best one. Centralized absolute monarchy అని చెప్పాము, కానీ పబ్లిక్ సర్వీస్కే ఇంపార్టెన్స్ ఇచ్చారు కాబట్టి ఎన్లైటెండ్ డెస్పాటిజం అన్నాం, అండ్ మిలిటరీ అండ్ బ్యూరోక్రాటిక్ సిస్టమ్ యొక్క కాంబినేషన్ అన్నాం. దెన్ ఇట్ ఈస్ పర్సియో-అరబిక్ సిస్టమ్ ఇన్ ద ఇండియన్ సెట్టింగ్ అని చెప్పారు. జేఎన్ సర్కార్. ద మొఘల్ సిస్టమ్ ఆఫ్ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్ వాస్ ఎ డిస్టింక్ట్ ఇంప్రూవ్మెంట్ అపాన్ ద ఢిల్లీ సల్తనేట్. ఢిల్లీ సల్తనేట్ కంటే వీళ్ళ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్ వాజ్ బెటర్. Okay, so their administrative system enjoyed the support and the confidence of the major sections of the country. They enjoyed the support and confidence of the major sections of the country. Then central government and the powers of emperor. Mughal emperor was the head of the state and the government. He was the head of the state and the government. They assumed titles like Mirza. వాళ్ళు తీసుకున్న టైటిల్స్ ఏంటి? Mirza, Padusha, to show their pomp or power. Mirza and Padusha were their titles to show their pomp and power. Then Padshah was recognized by his subjects as God's representative. అతన్ని ఎలా చూసేవాళ్ళు? పాదుషాని God's representative on earth అలా చూసేవాళ్ళు. his subjects God's representative on earth. From the Akbar's period, Padshah also became the head of the religion. అక్బర్ ఏం చేశాడు? ఇదేమి ఎంపరర్, హెడ్ ఆఫ్ ద స్టేట్ అండ్ హెడ్ ఆఫ్ ద రిలీజియన్ అని చెప్పాడు. సో ఫ్రమ్ ద అక్బర్స్ పీరియడ్ పాద్షా బికేమ్ ద హెడ్ ఆఫ్ ద రిలీజియన్ ఆల్సో. సో దే అజ్యూమ్ ద టైటిల్స్ లైక్ ముజాహిద్, Imam A Adil and Sultan A Adil. Imam A Adil, Sultan A Adil and Mujahid. In Ain-i-Akbari, Abul Fazl described the Padshah as supreme and all-powerful and wise one, and as the shadow of the God on earth. Okay, God's representative on earth అన్నాం. Ain-i-Akbariలో అబుల్ ఫాజిల్ ఏం రాశాడు? He was the shadow of the God on earth అని చెప్పి రాశాడు. Supreme, all-powerful and wise one. The Mughal emperors enjoyed and exercised the great powers and status. Okay, great powers and status ఉండేది. Jaroka A Darshan, Chowki, Taslim Chowki, and Nakara and Mohar Panja, etc. were some of the best examples. Okay, of emperor great powers ఉన్నదానికి ఈ జరోకా దర్శన్ అనేదో చెప్తాం కదా, జరోకా ఏ దర్శన్, చౌకీ తస్లీం, నకారా and mohar panja, etc. So are the best examples. The emperor used to listen the petition and the issues of the public sitting on the throne in the eastern corner of the Agra fort every day. Eastern corner of the Agra fort anta every day వినేవాడు. For what? For the petitions of the people, issues of the public, and వినేవాడు sitting on his throne. Then it is central administration. Then council of ministers. Even though the Pasha was all powerful in his kingdom, he was assisted by strong and experienced councillors or ministers. Strong and experienced councillors of or ministers ఉండేవాళ్ళు in his management, in the management of the state affairs. State affairs ని manage చేయడానికి there were experienced and strong councillors or ministers. As per the Islamic law, the number of councillors should not exceed more than 4. The strength was 9 during the Akbar and 11 during the reign of Aurangzeb. So as per Islamic law anta, but వీళ్ళు పెంచారు. Then Diwan was the most important of the council of ministers. Diwan was the most important. అంతకుముందేమో వకీల్ అని చెప్పాను, prime minister. Diwan was the revenue minister. Diwan was revenue minister. He was second after the Pacha. He was after the Pacha. He was second at the center. He worked as the link between the emperor and his fellow ministers. He was the link between the emperor and his fellow ministers. Then Diwan Mir Bakshi. Mir Bakshi was the war minister. Khan-e-Sanam and Kaji ul Kujat Sadar. Then Mata मुजाहिद लागा मतासी, दरोगा ए तोपखाना, दरोगा ए दाक चौकी, and daroga. వీళ్ళందరూ they were the 9 ministers of the central administration during the Akbar's period. Okay, 9 ministers అంట వీళ్ళు in the Akbar's period. Okay, దివాన్ మీర్ బక్షి, ఖానే సనం, కాజీ ఉల్ కుజత్, సదర్ ఏ సుదుర్, మతాషి, దరోగా ఏ తొక్కానా, దరోగా ఏ దక్ చౌకీ, daroga. Okay, so Vakil was also was the viceroy to the minor king ki veedu viceroy ga panchestadu anamata Vakil. Only few persons held this post during the earlier years of Akbar's reign. Bairam Khan unnadu kada, he worked as a Vakil. During the Shah Jahan's reign, his uncle atana mama Asaf Khan and Sadullah Khan and Sadullah Khan also held this post for Shah Jahan. Then Diwan was the prime minister and the head of the revenue and finance department. Prime minister atane and revenue head of the revenue finance minister Diwani. He was also known as the wazir anevalu. Atani wazir, WAZIR, wazir or Diwan. He was in charge of the important treasury. Okay, he was treasury ki in charge itane. He was in charge of the treasury. Then during the reign of Akbar, Abul Fazal, Todarmal, Mansingh discharged the duties of Diwan. Abul Fazal, writer, author unnadu kada ayana, Todarmal atani mama, then Mansingh, వీళ్ళు ముగ్గురు they discharged the duties of Diwan during Akbar's time. Diwan exercised great control over the provincial officers. They had a great control over the వాళ్ళ కింద ఉన్న provincial officers వాళ్ళ పైన. All the top level revenue officials were appointed on his directions. Top level revenue officials ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో they were appointed by the Diwan. Then Mir Bakshi, he was a head of the military. చెప్పాను కదా, head of the military wing. He used to supervise the standing army and the mansabdari forces అంటే వాళ్ళు ఆర్మీ ప్రొవైడ్ చేస్తారు కదా కింగ్ కి. సో he used to supervise the standing army and the mansabdari forces, the selection of the military officials. Diwan ఏమో selection of revenue officials, Mir Bakshi ఏమో selection of the military officials చేసేవాడు. and the mansabdars ని ఇతనే సెలెక్ట్ చేసేవాడు, military officials ని, soldiers ని, and they used to give them వాళ్ళని సెలెక్ట్ చేసుకొని మళ్ళీ ట్రైనింగ్ ఇచ్చేవాళ్ళు, వాళ్ళ పేమెంట్ ఆఫ్ సాలరీస్ కూడా ఇతనే ఇచ్చేవాడు. వేర్ ఆల్ అండర్ ద కంట్రోల్ ఆఫ్ మీర్ బక్షి. హీ యూస్ టు ప్రిపేర్ ద వార్ స్ట్రాటజీస్ కూడా ప్రిపేర్, వాళ్ళకి ట్రైనింగ్ ఇవ్వడం, వాళ్ళకి సాలరీస్ ఇవ్వడం, వార్ స్ట్రాటజీస్ ఆల్సో వేర్ ప్రిపేర్డ్ డ్యూరింగ్ ద వార్స్ అండ్ బ్యాటిల్స్ బై మీర్ బక్షి. దెన్ ఖాన్-ఏ-సనం పైన చెప్పిన ఒక్కొక్కరిని ఎక్స్ప్లెయిన్ చేస్తున్నారు. ఖాన్-ఏ-సనం వచ్చి హీ వాస్ ద మినిస్టర్ ఇన్ చార్జ్ ఆఫ్ ద రిలీజియస్ అండ్ జుడిషియల్ మ్యాటర్స్. ఇదేమి వెరైటీ కాంబినేషన్ చూడు, రిలీజియస్ జుడిషియల్ మ్యాటర్స్ కి రెండింటికి హెడ్ ఖాన్-ఏ-సనం. హీ వాజ్ ఆల్సో నోన్ as సదర్ ఏ కుల్ ఆర్ సదర్ ఏ జహాన్ అతను ఏమనేవారు సదర్ ఏ కుల్ ఆర్ సదర్ ఏ జహాన్ అనేవాళ్ళు. ఖాన్ ఏ సనం, ఓకే సమన్. He used to give judgments ఇతనే ఇచ్చేవాడు. He was the sole authority to grant the donations to the religious institutions and the ulemas. Very very important judicial matters కాబట్టి he used to give his judgments. Sadar e kul or Sadar e jahan, and he used to sole authority to grant the donations to the religious institutions and the ulemas. Then Matasib, he was the guardian of the laws laid down by the Shariat ki guardian anta. So his main duty is to foster moral and ethical values in the public, in the public and to uphold the laws of the Shariat. He is the guardian. So of that, so he also enjoyed the powers to punish the people who rejected or disobeyed the laws of Islam. Matasib bane atanu, he used to punish, he had the powers to punish people who rejected and who disobeyed the laws of Islam. During the reign of Aurangzeb, he was given the duty of destroying the Hindu temples, also stupid. So destroying the Hindu temples also Aurangzeb time lo Matasib. Then Daroga e Topkana, he was the minister in charge of the artillery wing. Artillery ante he was given the special powers to protect the palace and the forts also. Daroga e Topkana, artilleries అంటే weapons తో fight చేసే wing కి Daroga e Topkana was the minister. He was also given powers to protect the palace and the forts. Daroga e Dakchuki, he was the minister in charge of the postal and డాక్ అంటే పోస్టల్ స్టాంప్స్ వేస్తాం కదా, డాక్ స్టాంప్, పోస్టల్ స్టాంప్. సో అనే దరోగా ఈ డాక్ చుకి వచ్చి ఇన్ఛార్జ్ ఆఫ్ ది పోస్టల్ అండ్ ఎస్పియోనాజ్ అంటే స్పైస్ అనమాట. పోస్టల్ అండ్ స్పైస్. పోస్టల్ అంటే అప్పట్లో పోస్ట్ ఉందని కాదు, ఆ ఇన్ఫర్మేషన్ చేరవేస్తూ స్పైస్ దానికి ఇన్ఛార్జ్ అని దరోగా ఈ డాక్ చుకి. హీ యూస్ టు కలెక్ట్ ద న్యూస్ ఫ్రమ్ వేరియస్ పార్ట్స్ ఆఫ్ ది ఎంపైర్ and he used to brief it to the king. Okay, then Daroga, he was the supreme head of the imperial minting of coins, supreme head of the imperial mint. Then all the provincial mints worked as per his guidance, and he issued separate monogram to the head of each mint. Separate monogram ఇచ్చేవాళ్ళంటే టు ది separate monogram to the head of each minting coins చేసేవాళ్ళు, వాళ్ళకి separate monogram. He also supervised the accounts related to the use of different metals. ఎలాంటి మెటల్స్ యూస్ చేస్తున్నారు, డిఫరెంట్ మెటల్స్ ఇన్ ద మింటింగ్ ఆఫ్ ది కరెన్సీ, ఎలాంటి మెటల్స్ వాడవా అంతా సూపర్వైజ్. ద central ministers were assisted by many experienced secretaries. ఇప్పుడున్నట్టు they were experienced secretaries assist చేసేవాళ్ళు to run the administration. Then they include Mustafa who was the auditor general, and Mushrif and the revenue secretary. Auditor general was Mustafa. Mushrif was the revenue secretary. Mir Tojal was the మీర్ అంటే హ్యాపీగా ఉంటాం కదా, సో ఇదే ఫెస్టివల్స్ అప్పుడు హ్యాపీగా ఉంటాం. మీర్ తోజాల్, సో ఇన్ చార్జ్ ఆఫ్ ఫెస్టివల్స్. దెన్ మీర్ మల్ హూ వాజ్ ఇన్ చార్జ్ ఆఫ్ ది రాయల్ సీల్స్ అంట, మీర్ మల్ royal seals. Then provincial administration. Akbar also created a sound provincial administration. He divided the vast empire into 15 subas. In the divide chesadina, they were Kabul, Lahore on the west, Multan, then Delhi, Agra, Ajmer, Allahabad, Ayodhya, Bihar, east side ki Bihar, Bengal, then south Malwa, west Gujarat, Khandesh, Berar, Ahmednagar. So ఇవి 15 subas గా డివైడ్ చేశారు. డ్యూరింగ్ ద ఔరంగజేబ్స్ పీరియడ్ దేర్ వర్ 21 subas చేశాడు ఔరంగజేబ్ పీరియడ్ లో ఇన్ ద మొఘల్ ఎంపైర్. ఎందుకంటే డెక్కన్ కూడా క్యాప్చర్ చేసుకున్నాడు కాబట్టి డెక్కన్ సుబాస్ ఉండేవి. ది అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్ ఆఫ్ ద సుబాస్ వాస్ ఆర్గనైజ్డ్ యాజ్ ది రెప్లికా ఆఫ్ ది సెంట్రల్ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్. సో అక్కడ ప్రొవిన్షియల్ అడ్మినిస్ట్రేషన్ వాస్ జస్ట్ the Suba administration was the replica of the central administration. So head of the Suba was called as Subedar. Okay, the Subedar was again administered by the other ministers and officers in the management of the Suba administration. So officers evaru who assisted the Subedar, Diwan again, and Bakshi, Mir Bakshi laga Bakshi, Sadar, and then Qazi, and then Quano novice, and then Bitikshi and Pordar and Faujdar and Amito. Okay, so ala So sarkars were divided into paraganas, again paraganas into villages were other important units in the administration, and the Kotwal was in charge of the towns and cities. Kotwal ane atanu, he was the head of the in charge of the cities and towns and all. Then land revenue administration. The land revenue stood as the chief source of income to the Mughal state. According to one view, during Akbar's period, the Mughal income from all the sources was about 90 crore rupees. 90 crores and appatlone Mughal income from the taxes. During the Shah Jahan's period, it rose to 220 crore rupees. Then besides the land revenue, taxes on the trade by taxes, taxes on horses, imports, exports, etc. also brought good income to the government. The the real credit of formulating a more scientific and popular land revenue system during the Akbar's age goes to the experienced revenue minister Raja Todarmal's bandobast. The total agricultural land in the empire was surveyed by his revenue officials. Then accounts were prepared. The agricultural land was surveyed, accounts was prepared, the Jagirdari system was abolished, and the Raja Todarmal he formulated a land revenue system called as the Hasala system. It was framed with a single objective of the peasants' interest and getting regular peasants' interest కాపాడడానికి and getting a regular revenue to the treasury, getting a regular revenue to the treasury. So the direct relationship was established between the peasants and the emperor or the government officials. Direct relationships. వాళ్ళకి పట్టాలు ఇచ్చేవాళ్ళు. All the middlemen were removed. Important, all the middlemen were removed. Direct relationship between the peasants and emperor. The entire land was divided into 4 categories: the Polaj, the Parauti, the Chachar, and the Banjar, based on its fertility. In order to fix the land revenue rate, land revenue ఎంత రేట్ ఉండాలని ఫిక్స్ చేయడానికి the average produce of the land from the past 10 years and the prices from the past 10 years were taken as a base to fix the rate of land revenue, and finally 1/3 of the produce of the land was fixed as the rate of land revenue. This system was popularly known as the Dahasala system. Then Todarmal also issued the pattas to the farmers indicating their right on the land, and it contained it contained the details related to the land and their measurement. It had the details relating to the land and its measurement. He also collected an undertaking from the peasants known as the Kubuliyat. Okay, peasants nunchi he collected an undertaking known as Kubuliyat. Okay, దాంతో వాళ్ళు ఒప్పుకున్నట్టు ఆ ల్యాండ్ రెవెన్యూ ఇంత రేట్ ఆఫ్ ల్యాండ్ రెవెన్యూ పే చేస్తామని. The Zabt and the Dahasala system of the Todarmal produced good results. Zabt and the Dahasala system of Todarmal produced good results. Peasants were happy and the state received the revenue on time. The Ilahigas kind of scale was used by the revenue officials to measure the land. స్కేల్ ఏంది ఇలాహీ గస్ అనే స్కేల్ యూజ్ చేసేవాళ్ళంటే by the revenue officials to measure the land. The land was divided into the units called as biga. Okay, it is equal to an area of 3600 square yards, and 1 biga was equal to 3600 square yards. In order to benefit the farmer, the old Hijra year was given up. Okay, the old Hijra year was given up to fix the land revenue financial year, and Ilahi era was introduced by Todarmal. Okay, Ilahi Gaz అని చెప్పాం కదా, Ilahi Gaz అనే స్కేల్ యూజ్ చేశారు, అండ్ తొదార్మల్ ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ చేసిన ఎరా ఏంటి ఇల్లాహి ఎరా. ఆ ముందున్న హిజ్రా ఎరా అని దే గేవ్ అప్ అనమాట ఫినాన్షియల్ ఇయర్ స్టార్ట్ చేయడానికి. అమాంగ్ ది అదర్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ రెవెన్యూ అఫీషియల్స్ కర్కూన్, Kunango, Bitikchi, Poddar were important revenue officials under వీళ్ళందరూ. So the revenue officials were asked to be generous towards the peasants at the time of revenue collection. Then the opinions of historians on the Mughal land revenue system. There was no uniform opinion among the historians regarding the merits and demerits and the significance of the Mughal revenue system. The eminent British historian V.A. Smith, and he said, even though Todarmal's revenue system looked very grand from outside, it may not be possible to enforce it, to make it applicable, implement it in the vast empire. He also criticized, saying that the primary objective of Todarmal's land revenue system was not the protection or the welfare of the peasants, but its main aim is to get the state's revenue on time from the peasants. But the view of V.A. Smith was strongly condemned by the Indian historians like the R.C. Majumdar and Irfan Habib. According to them, V.A. Smith was not ready to accept that Mughal land revenue system was more popular and peasants welfare oriented. It was popular and peasant welfare oriented and the unscientific than the British land revenue policy. వాళ్ళ పాలసీ కంటే వీళ్ళు బెటర్గా ఉందని వాడు ఒప్పుకొని చావట్లేదని చెప్తున్నాడు. దే ఆల్సో సెట్ దట్ ద రేట్ ఆఫ్ ల్యాండ్ రెవెన్యూ వాస్ నార్మల్, ఎక్కువ లేదు పాపం. రేట్ ఆఫ్ ల్యాండ్ రెవెన్యూ అనేది నార్మల్గా ఉండింది. ద పెసెంట్స్ వర్ well informed how much to pay and in which form to pay. They paid in cash or kind. So the right of the peasants on the land also, it was well recognized by the Mughal emperors. The right of the peasants on their land was well recognized by the Mughal emperors, while rate of land revenue was informed to them on how to pay and when to pay. As a result, the financial status and the living standards of the peasants, the financial status and the living standards of the peasants of the Mughal period was more better than that of the British period. And then military organization of the Mughals. The Mughal army right from the Babur's age was well known for its strong and excellent military strength. It was strong and excellent military strength. It was the superiority, wonderful spirit and the war strategy of the Babur and his soldiers which put an end to the Ibrahim Lodi's large army, but also the Rana Sangram Singh's army. Even Ibrahim Lodi's large army and the Rana Sangram Singh unnadu the Wad army. The Mughal army consisted of various races and groups. Various races నుంచి వచ్చిన వాళ్ళు గ్రూప్స్ వాళ్ళు ఉన్నారు. They included Mongols and the Mongols, Genghis Khan and the Timurids and the Turks. It had Uzbeks, it had Afghans, Persians, Rajputs, Marathas, etc. It's a mixed army. It's a mixed army, important word. It is built upon the principles of quality, ability and skill. Quality undali, the ability and skill undali. Mughal army can be divided into two sections. ఒకటేమో imperial army which was under the direct control of the emperor and it was well trained. Its main duties was the protection of the royal palace, protection of emperor, the capital and its boundaries of the empire. Capital ni emperor ni, royal palace ni, boundaries of the empire ni బాగా జాగ్రత్తగా they have to protect it and they were well trained. The emperor used to personally interact with these forces, with the imperial army. The second army was the Mansabdari army. ఇంకొకటేమో imperial army, the other one was Mansabdari army which was the brainchild of the Akbar. The emperor organized this force under the commandership of Mansabdars. He organized this force under commandership of the Mansabdars. The Mansabdari forces were 1/3 of the total Mughal army. The Mansab is a rank or cadre from 10 to responsibility of maintaining. Mansabdar had the responsibility of maintaining a fixed number of cavalry forces. His salary was paid in the form of cash. గుర్తుపెట్టుకోవాలి, Mansabdari system కి జాగీర్స్ ఇచ్చేవాళ్ళు కాదు. Mansabdars were paid in the form of cash and the Jagirdari system was abolished by Akbar. Mansabdars had to maintain a fixed number of cavalry forces. Some lands were also given to the Mansabdars. కొంతమందికి Mansabdars land ఇచ్చేవాళ్ళు. During Akbar's period, the entire Mansabdars were divided into 33 categories. Entire Mansabdars were divided into 33 categories. The highest Mansabdar rank was 10,000 and the lowest was 10. Under the Jahangir, the highest Mansabdar rank rose to 40,000. The Mansabdar was a military and a civil officer. Mansabdar anewadu, he was a military and a civil officer. After the introduction of the Mansabdari system, Akbar noticed certain defects in it. So he introduced the Jat and the Sawar system. Okay, Jat and the Sawar system. According to one view, Jat was the originally granted rank to the Mansab and Sawar means the real number of cavalry force maintained by the Mansar. Jat ante అతనికి ఉన్న rank and Sawar ante number of cavalry forces, number of forces maintained by the Mansabdar. అది Jat and Sawar system. According to the historians like A.L. Srivastava, Abdul Aziz, Jat indicates number of horses అని చెప్పేవాళ్ళు. ఓకే, ఒకరి వ్యూలో ఏమో ర్యాంక్ ది నంబర్ ఆఫ్ హార్సెస్ అంటే, ఇంకొకరు ఏమంటారు జాట్ అంటే నంబర్ ఆఫ్ హార్సెస్ అండ్ ఎలిఫెంట్స్ విచ్ వాస్ యూస్ఫుల్ విచ్ వాస్ నాట్ యూస్ఫుల్ ఫర్ ద వార్కి ఏదైతే పనికిరాని హార్సెస్ ఎలిఫెంట్స్ ఉన్నాయో అవి జాట్. సవార్ రియల్లీ ఇండికేట్స్ ది cavalry ఫోర్సెస్. సో సవార్ అంటే cavalry ఫోర్సెస్ విచ్ వర్ ఫిట్ టు బి యూస్డ్ ఇన్ ద వార్ ఆర్ బ్యాటిల్. అంటే జాట్ అంటే పనికిరాని వార్కి పనికిరాని హార్సెస్ ఎలిఫెంట్స్, సవార్ అంటే వార్కి పనికి వచ్చే cavalry, దట్ ఈస్ హార్సెస్ అండ్ ఎలిఫెంట్స్ అని చెప్తున్నారు. Then in order to avoid cheating by the Mansabdars by maintaining the low quality horses, Akbar introduced the system of Dhag Chira system. సో ఏం సిస్టమ్ ఇంట్రడ్యూస్ చేశారు? అక్బర్ ధాగ్ చిరా సిస్టమ్. ఇన్స్టెడ్ ఆఫ్ చీటింగ్, ధాగ్ మీన్స్ పుట్టింగ్ అ సీల్ ఆఫ్ ద ఎంపరర్ ఆన్ ద బ్యాక్ ఆఫ్ ది హార్స్, ఆన్ ది అదర్ సైడ్ విత్ ద సీల్ ఆఫ్ ది మన్సాబ్దార్. ఒక సైడ్ ఏమో ఒక ఎంపరర్ సీలు, ఇంకో సైడ్ ఏమో మన్సాబ్దార్ సీలు. ద స్మాల్ చిరా ఆర్ బయోడేటా ఆఫ్ ది చిరా ఆర్ ది బయోడేటా ఆఫ్ ది సోల్జర్. ఓకే, బయోడేటా ఆఫ్ ది సోల్జర్ అనేది ఇట్ వాస్ మెయింటైన్ టు అవాయిడ్ ఆల్ టైప్స్ ఆఫ్ ఫ్రాడ్. దాగ్ అంటే హార్సెస్కి, చిరా అంటే సోల్జర్స్ బయోడేటా మెయింటైన్ చేయడం టు అవాయిడ్ ఆల్ టైప్స్ ఆఫ్ ఫ్రాడ్. ద మన్సాబ్దారీ సిస్టమ్ కాంట్రిబ్యూటెడ్ అ లాట్ to the success of the Mughals. But when the Sultan at the center they became weak, he was challenged and he was revolted by these powerful Mansabdars. Also, when they became all powerful, and this Mansabdari system was also a main reason for the declination of the Mughal Empire after the death of the Aurangzeb. So this was the administration of the Mughals. The society and economy under the Mughals. A large number of contemporary literary works, contemporary literary works written in by the court, historians, scholars and the foreign travelers, ambassadors, traders, Christian missionaries and activists, etc., are providing a valuable information about the social structure and the social beliefs and the state of economy of the Mughal age. So besides the Hindus, Afghans, Iranians, Mongols, Shias, Sunnis, Turks, Persians, Sikh, Christians also lived in the society. Inni different kinds of people unnaru mana society lo. The social structure under the Mughals became more flexible than the period of the Delhi Sultanate. Social structure అనేది it was very much flexible than Delhi Sultanate. In general, the society consisted of three main groups. ఆ three main groups ఏంటంటే, ఒక royal family members, okay, containing of nobles, ఇంకొకరేమో రాయల్ ఫ్యామిలీ మెంబర్స్, ఇంకొకరేమో నోబుల్స్, మిడిల్ క్లాస్ అనుకుంటా, ఇంకొకరేమో నోబుల్స్, ఇంకొకరేమో మిడిల్ క్లాసెస్లో ఎవరు ఉండేవాళ్ళు? డాక్టర్స్, సింగర్స్, డాక్టర్స్ అంటే సింగర్స్, కోర్ట్ పర్ఫార్మర్స్, జడ్జెస్ అండ్ ది స్కాలర్స్ మిడిల్ క్లాస్. ఇంకోటేమో నోబుల్స్. రాయల్ ఫ్యామిలీ మెంబర్స్ ఒకరు, నోబుల్స్ ఒక క్లాస్, ఇంకోరేమో మిడిల్ క్లాస్, డాక్టర్స్, సింగర్స్, జడ్జెస్ అండ్ స్కాలర్స్. సో the population was large number. Villa population, it was large in number in the urban centers. The lower class was the last one in the social ladder. The lower class was last one in social ladder, but their population was very large in number. They worked in agriculture, they worked in factories and in the houses of the rich people. So both Hindus and Muslims believed in astrology. Hindus and Muslims believed in Jatakalu nammevalu, and child marriages, sati, dowry, polygamy were important social evils. So important social evils ఏవేవి? చైల్డ్ మ్యారేజెస్. సతీ మొఘల్ టైం నుంచే ఉందంట. చైల్డ్ మ్యారేజెస్, సతీ, dowry system, polygamy were present. The important festivals of the Mughal age include Nowruz, started by Akbar, Ramzan, Shah-e-Bharat and Dashera, Holi, Diwali, etc. All these were the important festivals of that time. Nowruz, Ramzan Muslims ki, Shah-e-Bharat, Shah-e-Bharat, and Dashera, Holi and Diwali for Hindus. Besides the above Hindu-Muslim festivals, the birthday of Padshah was also celebrated. Special shopping melas were arranged for the purpose of the nobles and royal family members. These were called as Meena Bazaar అంటే special shopping melas anta, arranged for the purpose of nobles and royal families, called as Meena Bazaar and Kushi Bazaar. Meena ante Meena Bazaar and Kushi Bazaars were Mebaz undi kada, Meena Bazaar adi Kushi Bazaar. So separate markets also were arranged. Separate markets were arranged with a variety of clothes, other articles for the royal family ladies. Royal family ladies ke with variety of clothes and articles, so special markets ఉండేవి. Abul Fazal described 32 variety of perfumes. 32 variety of perfumes ఉండేవంట అప్పట్లో. Women's position during the Mughal period was not so good. Only the royal family women enjoyed freedom. Okay, only the royal family women position was not so good. The middle class women and the lower class women were engaged in manual work చేసుకుంటూ ఉండేవాళ్ళు. They were not educated due. Okay, the dancing, music, painting were other main activities of the young girls. Dancing, music and painting were activities of young girls. Gulbadan Begum, Noor Jahan and Mumtaz Mahal, Chand Bibi, Rani Durgavati, Tarabai, etc. were great women of this period. Gulbadan Begum and Noor Jahan, వీళ్ళందరూ important women of Chand Bibi, Rani Durgavati, Tarabai were great women of this period. The recent studies on the Mughal history by the scholars from the Aligarh Muslim University and Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, are giving some more interesting details about the social structure of the Mughal age. So recent studies on the Mughal history by the scholars of the Aligarh Muslim University and Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi, are giving some important social structure details ఇస్తున్నారు. Economy under the Mughals. The information culled from the contemporary literary works reveals that India was economically very rich during the Mughal period. Agriculture, trade, handicrafts, very much good. Industries were in good position. Mughal emperors made elaborate arrangements to improve the agriculture and trade. Handicrafts and industries, the food crops, the commercial crops were grown at large scale, and Bengal, Bihar and Uttar Pradesh were famous for the sugarcane crop. Bengal, Bihar and Uttar Pradesh. Then Bengal, Gujarat and the Deccan were known for the cotton cultivation. ఏది బెంగాల్ ఒక పక్క ఈస్ట్ సైడ్ వెస్ట్ ఏమో గుజరాత్ అండ్ డెక్కన్ were important for cotton cultivation. Indigo, pulses, opium, indigo, pulses and opium etc. were grown in some areas. The Sambar Lake in the Rajasthan and some areas of Punjab were known for the salt production. Sambar Lake in Rajasthan and some other areas of Punjab were well known for salt production. The textiles, iron steel industries, diamonds, silk, carpets, toys, glass, perfumes, Kalankari industries flourished in Bengal, Gujarat, Burhanpur, Lahore, Multan, Kashmir, Fatehpur Sikri, Deccan and Masulipattnam, Gujarat, Burhanpur, Lahore, Multan. So ఇవి important trade centers అన్నమాట ఇవన్నీ with good industries. The internal trade also was carried out on large scale by the local traders. On large scale. The land transportation was done with oxen, donkeys, camels, bullock carts. And among the chief exports ఏమేమంటే స్పైసెస్ ఎక్స్పోర్ట్ చేసేవాళ్ళు, కాటన్, ఇవన్నీ మన ఇండియాకి బ్యాక్ బోన్ లాగా కదా స్పైసెస్, కాటన్ టెక్స్టైల్స్, పెప్పర్, diamonds etc. were the exports. And the external trade was carried through Goa. What are the important ports of that time? External trade carried on through the Goa on the west side, east side Hubli, Calcutta and Machilipatnam. West side Goa. Glass, crockery, horses, slaves అనేది they were imported. క్రాకరీ మంచి చైనా నుంచి తీసుకునేవాళ్ళం, హార్సెస్ని ఫ్రమ్ ద సెంట్రల్ ఏషియా అండ్ ద స్లేవ్స్, గ్లాస్, దీస్ వర్ ద చీఫ్ ఇంపోర్ట్స్ ఫ్రమ్ ద పర్షియా అండ్ సెంట్రల్ ఏషియా నుంచి ఇంపోర్ట్ చేసుకునేవాళ్ళు. ద మొఘల్ ఎంపరర్స్ మేడ్ అరేంజ్మెంట్స్ ఫర్ ది సెక్యూరిటీ ఆఫ్ ద ట్రేడర్స్, ట్రావెలర్స్ అండ్ ఆల్ ఫర్ సెక్యూరిటీ ఆఫ్ ద ట్రేడర్స్ అండ్ ట్రావెలర్స్ ఆన్ ఆల్ ద ఇంపార్టెంట్ రూట్స్. వాళ్ళకి అరేంజ్మెంట్స్ చేశారు. అవి ఏంటంటే సరాయిస్ బిల్డ్ చేయడం వాళ్ళకి, టు కంబాట్ ది రాబరీస్, వాళ్ళకి ఇన్స్, సరాయిస్, హాస్పిటల్స్ ఆన్ ద రోడ్స్, ఇవన్నీ చౌల్ట్రీస్, గుడ్ రోడ్స్ బిల్డ్ చేయడం. సో దే టుక్ కేర్ ఆఫ్ ద సెక్యూరిటీ ఆఫ్ ద ట్రేడర్స్ అండ్ ట్రావెలర్స్ ఆన్ ఆల్ ద ఇంపార్టెంట్ రూట్స్. వెయిట్స్ అండ్ మెజర్మెంట్స్, measurements and the currency also etc were maintained, checked by the which was maintained, and it was checked by the separate officials, weights, measurements and the currency. During the Mughal period, severe famines had hit various parts of the country. They made all possible efforts to protect the common people and the peasants. The important famines during the Mughal period include 1556 and 57 AD, Agra and Bayana దగ్గర వచ్చింది. This was at the time of Akbar. Then 1573-74 Gujarat. Akbar time Agra and Bayana. Gujarat again in the Akbar time. Then 1630-31 Malwa, Gujarat and Deccan. And this was around I think Shah Jahan's time. దెన్ 16 అప్పుడే కదా పెజెంట్స్కి ఉన్న ట్యాక్సెస్ అన్ని అబాలిష్ చేశారన్నారు. 1659 అండ్ 1702-74 కశ్మీర్, ఔరంగజేబ్ టైం 1659 అండ్ 1702 కాశ్మీర్లో వచ్చింది. ఆగ్రాలో 1556, దెన్ 73-74, 1573-74 గుజరాత్, దెన్ మాల్వా, గుజరాత్ అండ్ డెక్కన్ 1630-31. Then 1659 and 1702 and 4 Kashmir. Shah Jahan spent more than 1.5 lakh rupees to provide food. ఏంటి 220 కోట్లు వస్తా అంటే 1.5 lakh rupees ఖర్చు పెట్టాడు ఫర్ ద ఫుడ్, to provide food to the drought affected areas in the Deccan. There was no shortage of food grains in the normal times. ఓకే, ఇలాంటి ఫెమైన్లో కాబట్టి అతను 1.5 lakh rupees food provide చేశారు drought affected areas. So Mughals also issued different types of coins issue చేశారు with copper, silver and gold coins to carry on the day-to-day activities. Many cities during the Mughal age made rapid progress in all the fields. According to Ralph Fitch, the English traveler, Agra and Fatehpur Sikri were two big cities. Either of them, okay, much greater than the London, and they were very much popular. Rendu London kante పెద్దగా ఉన్నాయి and they were very popular అని చెప్తున్నారు Ralph Fitch. The common public, the slaves, the laborers and the stone cutters, agricultural labor led a gloomy life. గ్లూమీ అంటే బాధాకరమైన జీవితం బతికారు అని చెప్తున్నారు. కామన్ పబ్లిక్ కానీ, స్లేవ్స్, లేబరర్స్ ఎవరైతే ఉన్నారో, స్టోన్ కట్టర్స్ అండ్ అగ్రికల్చరల్ లేబర్ లెడ్ అ గ్లూమీ లైఫ్. సో దిస్ వాస్ అబౌట్ ది ఎకానమీ. Then religious conditions under the Mughals. The Mughal emperors followed a type of different religious policy. They followed different religious policy. They were not so harsh towards the Hindus like the Delhi Sultanates. Akbar followed a liberal religious policy. His Rajput policy, his matrimonial alliances with the Rajputs consolidated the Mughal empire in India. So even though Mughals were Sunnis, Bairam Khan was a Shia and he was trusted by Humayun. Mughals ఎవరు సున్నీ ముస్లిమ్స్, షియా కింగ్డమ్ వచ్చి మనం ఏం చెప్పాము, గోల్కొండ చెప్పాము. So they were Sunni Muslims anamata. Even though Bairam Khan was a Shia, he was trusted by Humayun. He served Akbar also. All the Mughal rulers expressed trust in Quran. They had very much trust in Quran. In the religious policy, they had trust in Quran and its noble principles. Trust in Quran and noble principles. Hindus were asked to pay taxes by the Akbar successors. Hindus ni non-Muslim tax pay చేయమని చెప్పారంట Akbar successors. But Akbar jizya tax ని కూడా, pilgrim tax and jizya tax ని abolish చేశాడు. Then the Marathas and the Sikhs hated the narrow-minded religious policies of the Akbar. Marathas and the Sikhs, okay, especially Jahangir, Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb were very critical towards Hindus. So Akbar tarvata they were very much critical. Jahangir, Shah Jahan and Aurangzeb were very much critical towards the Hindus. The Bhakti and the Sufi saints of the Mughal age tried to foster the spirit of Hindu-Muslim unity and universal brotherhood and humanity and the trust in good values ni foster cheyadaniki try chesaru. After the entry of the European trading companies, the Mughals also maintained friendly relations with the Father Ferreira, friendly relations with the European trading companies. Father Ferreira participated in the discourses of the Ibadat Khana at the invitation of Akbar, and Rudolfo Acquaviva and Antony Montserrat and Francis Henricius were there at the Fatehpur Sikri. అక్కడ ఇబాదత్ ఖానాలో వీళ్ళు కూడా ఉన్నారనమాట. అక్బర్ వాజ్ ఫాదర్ ఫెరేరా వచ్చాడు, బట్ అక్బర్ వాజ్ నాట్ సాటిస్ఫైడ్ విత్ ఫెరేరా వ్యూస్. సో ఫెరేరా ఫస్ట్ వచ్చాడు. ఆ తర్వాత అక్బర్ అతను సాటిస్ఫై కాలేదు కాబట్టి హీ ఇన్వైటెడ్ ద పోర్చుగీస్ ఫాదర్స్ ఫ్రమ్ గోవా, Rudolfo Acquaviva and Antony Montserrat and Francis where the other one who came to Ibadat Khana, Akbar permitted the Christians to construct a church at Lahore. Permitted, Akbar permitted to even Jahangir anukunta. Okay, permitted Christians to construct a church at Lahore. Then Aurangzeb's narrow-mindedness and anti-Shia, anti-Hindu religious policies became one of the strong reasons for his fall and the fall of Mughal Empire. Hindus and Muslims lived in their own traditional style. No, Batikar వాళ్ళు both of them got influenced with each other's style of living. Very very important statement. ఒక composite culture అనేది డెవలప్ అయింది మొఘల్ టైంలో. They both got inspired by each other's or influenced by they got influenced by each other's style of living. Then technological development under the Mughals. During the Mughal age, experts belonging to different areas, they had made rich contribution to the progress of technology, and in the field of agriculture, in the field of handicrafts, industries, a lot new techniques were used. Techniques అనేది యూజ్ చేసాం. The Ain-i-Akbari. Okay, in Ain-i-Akbari, Abul Fazl mentioned that Emperor Akbar stated that a scholar must have the knowledge in the following field. ఒక స్కాలర్ అనిపించుకోవాలంటే in the following fields you should have knowledge. ఏంటంటే అగ్రికల్చర్లో ఉండాలి, astronomy, medicine, logic, physics, geometry, accountancy and arithmetic. ఓకే, సో ఇన్నిట్లో అగ్రికల్చర్లో ఉండాలి బేసిక్, దెన్ మెడిసిన్లో ఉండాలి astronomy, ఓకే, దెన్ అరిథమెటిక్ ఉండాలి, అకౌంటెంట్స్ తెలుసుండాలి, జామెట్రీ, ఫిజిక్స్ అండ్ లాజిక్ ఇవన్నిట్లో ఉండాలని అక్బర్ చెప్పాడని ఆయన అక్బరీలో అబుల్ ఫాజల్ అనేవారు రాశాడు. Then this shows that besides knowledge in the traditional subjects, okay, but in various science and technology also, and essentially science and technology was also essential to perform the various responsible duties and namaru. When science and technology was encouraged, Abul Fazl Badauni also supported the spirit of scientific inquiry. Abul Faizi, okay, Akbar's court poet, translated the Bhaskaracharya's famous work on mathematics, that is Leelavati, into Persian. Okay, Bhaskaracharya's famous work on mathematics ఏంటది లీలావతి, దాన్ని పర్షియన్లో కన్వర్ట్ చేశాడంట బదౌని. Who was that? Sorry, Akbar's court poet Abul Faizi had converted this. Okay, Abul Faizi. Then Futullah Shirazi అనే అతను, he was an expert in mathematics and astronomy. Okay, he was an expert in mathematics and Futullah Futullah Shirazi, he has prepared the Illahi calendar. తోదార్మల్ కోసం ఇల్లాహి ఎరా క్యాలెండర్ ఎవరు ప్రిపేర్ చేసింది? ఫుతుల్లా షిరాజీ. He prepared the Illahi calendar. He was an expert in mathematics and astronomy. Okay, then during Akbar's reign was known as the many inventions. Akbar's reign was known for many inventions. Babar also described the Persian wheel. ఓకే, పర్షియన్ బాబర్ టైంలోనే వాళ్ళు పర్షియన్ వీల్ యూస్ చేశారంట ఫర్ లిఫ్టింగ్ ద వాటర్ విచ్ వాస్ డెవలప్డ్ ఆన్ పిన్ డ్రమ్ గేరింగ్. ఇట్ వాస్ పర్షియన్ వీల్ టు లిఫ్ట్ ద వాటర్ విచ్ వాస్ డెవలప్డ్ ఆన్ పిన్ డ్రమ్ గేరింగ్ మీద డెవలప్ చేయడం. స్పెషల్ మెషిన్ వాస్ ప్రిపేర్డ్ డ్యూరింగ్ ద అక్బర్స్ reign for smoothing the musket barrels. మస్కట్ బ్యారల్స్ని స్మూత్ చేయడానికి చరేకే బర్గు అంటారంట. స్పెషల్ మెషిన్ తయారు చేశారు. ఇన్ ద ఫీల్డ్ ఆఫ్ అగ్రికల్చర్, weaving and diamond cutting, construction of the buildings, forts, palaces, many new techniques were used. ఈ కాటన్ ఆర్కిటెక్చర్లోనే కాదు, ఇదేమి అగ్రికల్చర్లో, వీవింగ్లో, డైమండ్ కట్టింగ్, కన్స్ట్రక్షన్ ఆఫ్ ద బిల్డింగ్స్, ఫోర్ట్స్, ప్యాలెసెస్లో న్యూ టెక్నిక్స్ వర్ యూస్డ్. దెన్ Hindu-Muslim relations during the Mughal period. The contemporary sources make it clear that under Mughals, Hindu-Muslim relations has improved than the earlier age of Delhi Sultans. So the liberal approach of the Akbar, the prevailing political situation, వాళ్ళు accept చేయాల్సి వచ్చింది, the prevailing political situation with the Rajputs, Akbar's relations with the Rajputs etc. paved a way to the healthy relationship between Hindus and Muslims. Akbar's reforms and abolishment of heinous taxes. Akbar తీసుకొచ్చిన reforms and the abolishment of the heinous taxes on the Hindus like the jizya and the pilgrim tax won him strong support from the majority Hindus. So most of the high officials of the Akbars were Hindus. Akbar were Hindus. Important ones were Raja Todarmal and Raja Sangram Singh. Raja Man Singh, sorry, Rana Sangram Singh, Raja Todarmal, Raja Man Singh Raja Birbal, where his Birbal, Man Singh and Todarmal were his trusted men. Okay, they led armies against their fellow Rajputs. Okay, when they challenged the Akbar sovereign power. Okay, so the Hindu festivals like Dashera, Deepavali and Holi were celebrated in the Akbar's court, and the Akbar after Akbar, the Mughals' relation with the Hindu rulers of the north and central changed. The rise of the Sikh, Marathas, and the revolts by the Jats and the Satnamis against the anti-Hindu policies of the Jahangir, Shah Jahan, all they proved dangerous to the integrity of the Mughal power. To the integrity of the Mughal power. So, వాళ్ళ తర్వాత the revolts of the Sikh, Marathas, Jats and Satnamis. So, దాని వల్ల anti-Hindu policies of the next successors of Akbar, they proved fatal to the power. During the period of Aurangzeb, many Hindu temples were destroyed. Many Hindu temples were destroyed. This slowly created a big gap between the Hindus and Muslims. The efforts of the Bhakti saints and the Sufi saints, they played a crucial role in reducing the differences between the Hindus and Muslims. Okay, then emergence of a composite culture. Due to the long rule of India by the Mughals, long rule of India, nearly 500 years దాకా రూల్ చేశారు కదా. సో సారీ, నాట్ 500 years, nearly 360 years ఏమో రూల్ చేశారు. Okay, long rule of India by Mughals and their liberal approach and a new type of culture. Because of the liberal approach, a new type of culture has emerged. New type of culture had emerged. The native social structure and the religious beliefs. Native social structure, the native social beliefs, religious beliefs, and the food habits, their dressing style, their language, their orthodox beliefs, etc., and their art and architecture, painting, music, etc. All these were deeply influenced by the Mughal culture. The interreligious relations or the matrimonial relations between the Mughals and the Rajputs also heralded a new era. On the other front, okay, then the other front, native political system, the legal system, land revenue system, etc., had shown great influence on the Mughal administration. So political system, వాళ్ళు యూజ్ చేసిన జహంగీర్ యూజ్ చేసిన జడ్జ్మెంట్ బెల్, లీగల్ సిస్టమ్, తొదార్మల్స్, ల్యాండ్ రెవెన్యూ, all these systems, they had a great influence on the Mughal administration. This gave birth to a composite culture or a mixed culture. Then education, language and literature developments under the Mughals. So the Mughal emperors were great patrons of education, scholars and poets. Education, scholars and poets, great patrons. Most of them were highly learned experts in different subjects. Most of the Mughal emperors were highly learned experts in different subjects. Besides their mother tongue, that is Chagatai Turki, Persian, Chagatai Turki kakunda Persian, Hindi, Sanskrit languages received great patronization. Traditional Hindu education system continued in Marathas, temples and agraharas. మఠాలు, ట్రెడిషనల్ హిందూ ఎడ్యుకేషనల్ సిస్టమ్ అనేది ఎక్కడ కంటిన్యూ అయింది? మఠాలు, టెంపుల్స్ అండ్ అగ్రహారాలో కంటిన్యూ అయింది. ద చీఫ్ సెంటర్స్ ఆఫ్ ద ఇస్లామిక్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ వేర్ ది మద్రాసాస్, ద దర్గాస్ అండ్ ది ఖాన్స్ అనేవి చీఫ్ సెంటర్స్ ఆఫ్ ముస్లిం ఇస్లామిక్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్. Then Delhi, Agra, Fatehpur Sikri, Lahore, etc. became the chief centers of cultural activity. Babur, Humayun, Jahangir, Shah Jahan, Dara Shikoh, Aurangzeb were also great scholars. Akbar okkade illiterate, meeta Babur, Humayun, Jahangir, Shah Jahan, Dara Shikoh, Aurangzeb were all great scholars. Abul Fazl, Abul Faizi, Badauni, Kafi Khan, okay, they were great scholars in Persian. All these, they were great scholars in Persian. The native languages like the Bengali, Hindi, Urdu also enjoyed people's support. Okay, Rasa Gangadhara was a great work, and Ganga Lahari, okay, the poem in praise of river Ganga are the great Sanskrit works written by Pandita Jagannatha Pandita antaru. Jagannatha Pandita, he was a poet in the Shah Jahan's period. Rasa Gangadhara, okay, it was a great work, heroic and Ganga Lahari, poem on Ganga river. Sanskrit works ante ee rendu, Rasa Gangadhara, Ganga Lahari, written by Jagannatha Pandita, who was a poet in the Shah Jahan's period. Then Dara Shikoh, who was the son of Shah Jahan was an author of great religious and philosophical works in Persian. Dara Shikoh, ఇతను he was a great scholar అంటే he wrote some great works in Persian. His work uh, mingling of two oceans mingle his great work mingling of two oceans is a comparative study of Islam and Hinduism. Very very important. Dara Shikoh work of mingling of two oceans. Mingling of two oceans is a comparative study of Islam and Hinduism. Then Eknath, Tukaram, the great Marathi poets also belonged to this. Eknath and Tukaram belong to this age, the Marathi poets of the Bhakti age. Then art and architecture under Mughals. During Mughal period, many buildings, forts, mosques, minarets, dargahs and were constructed in different parts of the empire. Akbar laid the solid beginning laid to combine the Hindu Muslim masons and experts. హిందూ ముస్లిం పీపుల్నే కాదు స్కాలర్స్ని మినిస్టర్స్ని కాదు హిందూ ముస్లిం మేసన్స్ని ఎక్స్పర్ట్స్ని కలిపింది కూడా అక్బర్. హీ వాజ్ ద వన్ హూ లేడ్ అ సాలిడ్ బిగినింగ్ టు కంబైన్ ద హిందూ ముస్లిమ్స్ మేసన్స్ అండ్ ఎక్స్పర్ట్స్. ది ఆర్కిటెక్చర్ ఆఫ్ అక్బర్స్ రీన్ అనేది ఇట్ వాస్ వెరీ ఫేమస్. ద గ్రేట్ ఆర్కిటెక్చరల్ క్రియేషన్ ఆఫ్ అక్బర్ వాస్ Fatehpur Sikri. Architectural creation of Akbar was Fatehpur Sikri. It had 9 gates. It has 9 gates. And it is famous for its buildings of sandstone. It had buildings of sandstone. Then Jamma Masjid or Jammi Masjid, the Buland Darwaza, the tomb of Sheikh Salim Chishti are some of the important buildings in Fatehpur Sikri. ఫతేపూర్ సిక్రీకి ఎన్ని గేట్స్ ఉన్నాయి? 9 గేట్స్ ఉన్నాయి. దాంతో ఉన్న బిల్డింగ్స్ ఏమి దే విల్ బిల్డ్ విత్ శాండ్ స్టోన్. అండ్ జమ్మా మస్జిద్ ఉంది లోపల. జమ్మా మస్జిద్, బులంద్ దర్వాజా, టూమ్స్ ఆఫ్ షేక్ సలీం చిష్టి ఎగ్జాంపుల్ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్ బిల్డింగ్. సో డ్యూరింగ్ ద పీరియడ్ ఆఫ్ జహంగీర్, ద టూమ్ ఆఫ్ అక్బర్, Jahangir period, the tomb of Akbar at Sikandra and the tomb of Itimad ul Dawla at Agra were built. The tomb of Itimad ul Dawla at Agra, they were built in Jahangir's period. The famous Shalimar Gardens of Kashmir were developed during the period of Jahangir. Shalimar Gardens of Kashmir at the period of Jahangir time lo develop చేశారు in Kashmir. The age of Shah Jahan was a glorious era in the history of Mughal art and architecture. The chief constructions of this period include Red Fort, in Shah Jahanabad or Delhi. Okay, then Ranga Mahal, Diwan-e-Am and Diwan-e-Khas were the important buildings inside the Red Fort. Ranga Mahal, Diwan-e-Khas, the Moodu, 1, 2, 3. Okay, in the Red Fort. Then Shah Jahan was a great lover of white marble and he used the white marble in all his contractions. Then Moti Masjid, Pearl Mosque, Moti Masjid and Musalman Bagh. Moti Masjid, Musalman Bagh in Agra. And the Taj Mahal was his dream project. Taj Mahal was his dream project. It was built in the memory of his wife Mumtaz Begum. It was located on the bank of river Yamuna at Agra. It was a building with glorious architecture of the Hindu and Persian artists collect చేశారు. It was described as one of the 7 wonders of the world. It took nearly 22 years to get completed and 2 crore rupees was spent. And it took 22 years and 22,000 people had worked for it. Then after Shah Jahan's death, no significant buildings were built by his successors, that is Aurangzeb. Jahangir was an expert in painting. Jahangir himself, he was an expert in painting and he patronized 2 famous painters, namely Abul Hasan Ustad Mansur. Okay, Abul Hasan and Ustad Mansur ఇద్దరిని పేట్రనైజ్ చేశారు. అబుల్ హసన్ అండ్ ఉస్తాద్ మన్సూర్ వీళ్ళిద్దరు ఇంపార్టెంట్ పెయింటర్స్ ఆఫ్ ది జహంగీర్ పీరియడ్. పర్సీ బ్రౌన్ praised the qualities and love of Jahangir as a painter of the period. Then causes for the disintegration of the Mughal Empire. So the Mughal power founded by Babur in 1526 has reached to the apex under Akbar. Okay, the Aurangzeb ruled the largest area and the vast empire, but after his death, the decline had started in a speedy way. The various causes led for the decline of the Mughals may be divided into 2 main categories. First, internal factors, external factors. Among the internal factors, political causes. Okay, political causes, weak successors of Aurangzeb and the administrative defects. Okay, administrative defects and selfish designs of the Mansab desires. Okay, administrative defects, selfish desires of Mansabdars officials, wars of succession among the princes, the court politics, social problems, religious policies of Aurangzeb, etc. became the strong causes for the decline of Mughal power in India. Okay, for political causes, administrative defects, Weak successors of Aurangzeb, selfish desires of Mansabdars and the officials, and the wars of succession among the princes, court politics undevi, court politics, political causes, social problems, religious policies. Aurangzeb's religious policy became one of the strong reasons for the decline of the Mughal power. The rise of next important వచ్చేసి internal factors లో ఇవి the rise of the Sikhs and Marathas also crippled the Mughal power. The Deccan policy of the Aurangzeb was considered as one of the greatest blunder by the historians. His long stay in the Deccan gave chance to the Mansabdars. Deccan policy. His long stay in the Deccan gave chance to the Mansabdars and the provincial governors to revolt against him. ఓకే సో అది డెక్కన్ పాలసీ ఓకే అక్కడ ఎక్కువ రోజులు ఉండడం వల్ల అక్కడ ఉన్న మన్సాబ్దార్స్ అండ్ ది ప్రొవిన్షియల్ గవర్నర్స్ దే రివోల్టెడ్ అగేన్స్ట్ హిమ్ దే బికేమ్ స్ట్రాంగ్ the waste expenditure by the Shah Jahan on building and construction activities was also became crucial. Waste expenditure on buildings and construction by Shah Jahan. According to the professor Irfan Habib, Dr. Satish Chandra, the heavy tax burden. Okay, fifth point వచ్చేసి heavy tax burden and the defective economic policies and the backwardness in the agriculture and industry also became one of the reasons for the decline. Heavy tax ఉండేవి, defective economic policies and the backwardness in agricultural industries కూడా reason అయ్యాయి. ఇది internal factors. External factors, many external factors contributed to the decline of the Mughal power. Defective external policy by the Akbar's successors, defective external policies of the Akbar's successors, and the foreign invasions like Nadir Shah, Ahmad Shah Abdali, and the rise of the regional kingdoms like the Marathas, Sikh, Jats, and Mysore and Hyderabad. They were the main causes. Okay, rise of the regional kingdoms. The external matrimonial relationship started by the Akbar produced positive results, but his successors rejected them. The Rajputs, the Central Asians, and the Deccan rulers became serious threat to the Rajputs of Pakka, Central Asian, Nadir Shah and Ahmad Shah Abdali, and the Deccan rulers also, like Tippu and the Marathas, Rajputs, the Central Asian rulers. All these became serious threat to the Mughal Empire. During the Mughal age, India was also invaded by the foreign rulers. The Nadir Shah's attack in 1739 and Ahmad Shah Abdali's attack during 1748 and 1767 caused a great loss to the Mughal India. Similarly, the advent and the consolidation of the European trading companies in India after Aurangzeb's death also made the political power a nominal one.